Hi, everyone. We have such a great guest today. Her name is Debra Di Pietro. She is an award-winning blogger, author, speaker, play shop facilitator. We'll have to find out what that is. A community builder, an adventurer, a yogi, and a wine drinker, although she says not necessarily in that order. The important thing about Debra is that she won Success Magazine's Blog Star contest, and the Warm Milk Journal was recognized as one of the top personal development sites on the internet. In July of this year, healthlabs.com, which is a leading online testing provider, chose the Warm Milk Journal as part of its top 100 health blogs list. Debra is a contributing writer for Success Magazine and many other organizations. So it is just a delight and pleasure to have you with us today, Debra.
Thank you. I'm just delighted to be here.
So when I got your info and it talked about the Warm Milk Journal, I thought, wow, that's an unusual name. So tell us how the Warm Milk Journal came about. What is it all about?
Sure. I was back in 2010. I was a school teacher, second grade school teacher here in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was pretty stressed out at night. My days were busy, and insomnia and anxiety are actually issues that I've struggled with much of my life. And at that point in time, I decided, well, I've always liked to write, and I thought when I'm not teaching school, I'm going to start a blog and just write about my own challenges with insomnia and anxiety, because surely there are other people out there that share these issues as well. And so, Dr. Gail, what started out as simply a blog about insomnia really turned into so much more. I started adding more spiritual verses and little short morning prayers and verses and little poetry and personal development essays, and it just really resonated with a lot of people. And so I essentially found my voice, and in my own healing I reached out and had this community that has responded so positively, and it's just opened up so many doors for me, this blog.
Wow. Well, of course I can see why you might be a little anxious when you're dealing with second graders, but I also think they would put you to sleep at night because you'd be exhausted. So
That's a good point.
It's interested in that dichotomy. But you also have written some books with Blue Mountain Arts, and I would assume that's kind of a very country-like publishing company. Tell us a little bit about that or those books. I think you've written more than one, and we'll find out how they can order a copy of your short morning prayers book. I wonder, do you find that this is a question I have curiosity on. Do you think more people do morning prayers or evening prayers, or do they do both?
That's a good question. I know that I do both, but it really is. I think if we want to really have a great day, it's really nice to take that time first thing early in the morning when the house is still quiet and we haven't gotten busy with our tasks for the day. That's a really special time, I think, early in the morning. Of course, ending our day right before we turn out the light at bedtime is an optimal time too, because it sets a really nice positive path for the following morning. So I think both times a day are great. Anytime, Dr. Gail, that we can sit down and be still and have a conversation with God and tune into our higher power. There's never a bad time to do that, in my opinion.
So how did you get your books published with Blue Mountain Arts? I mean, I cannot tell you that I'm aware of that publishing company. So how did you find them? They find you,
Sure. Yeah, they've been around a really long time. They're out of Boulder, Colorado, and if you walk into any, you would recognize probably they're very well known for their greeting cards. If you walk into a Hallmark store, they're the ones that have that very colorful, beautiful, feminine text and gorgeous cardstock and really very, very moving cards. And they just, I guess that one of the editors knew of my blog, started following me, and I made a pitch to them it started off an idea about gratitude, and eventually that book did not get published, but this one about short morning prayers did. And so we're enjoying a wonderful working relationship. I think our values are very much in alignment with one another. They're all about making communication better between people, and I'm all about writing and connecting as well. So it's been a very beneficial and rewarding relationship, and I'm so excited about.
Great. Well, I mean, you've got Blue Mountain Arts, you've got Success Magazine, and then you're doing these, which I have no idea what this is. The play shops, the play shop facilitator. I mean, I'm familiar with plays because not only do I like to go to them, but in college I was a theater major. So tell us what these play shop facilitation is all about.
Sure. I've been told it's almost like recess for women. And how this all came about is I turned 50 years old last September, and I challenged myself. I decided here on out, I'm going to choose courage as my compass. And something that I've been wanting to do for a long time is facilitate these play shops. I actually came about this wonderful book by Kathy Raphael called It's Time We Play. And I found this book about 10 years ago when I had like 2 months of summer off from teaching school. And I thought, I want to do this. It's all about how adults can benefit from play and how healing that is for us to challenge ourselves and get out of our comfort zones and interact with one another in just a different way that we don't normally do in our ordinary lives. And, life got busy. I put Kathy Raphael's book on a bookshelf. It collected dust for 10 years. And essentially my 50th birthday came, and I'm like, I need to start doing things, stop talking about and thinking about doing them and just doing them. And so I decided I'm going to do this play shop. I created this meetup here in Jacksonville, and before I knew it, over 200 ladies had signed up for this group. We've done 4 play shops now. I hold them once a month, and I essentially, for 2 hours, I guide us through a series of icebreakers, of a little theater improv, a little laughter yoga, some sharing, and it's just transformative, Dr. Gail. We start off, it's amazing to see and I arrange the chairs in circles, so it's almost like circle time for adults, and it's women of all different ages, and we all come from different walks of life. Some are there because they're just so busy and they wanted to do something for themselves. Some are busy taking care of older parents or having some health issues or marriage issues, and they just want to laugh and have fun for a couple hours and connect with other women. And that's what we do. And it's just been transformative. We've just, at the end of the 2 hours, few of us are just crying, but it's tears of joy. It's just an amazing experience. You just sort of have to be there, and it's pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about it.
Wow, that sounds fascinating. And it's wonderful that they have this opportunity to just kind of let it all go and not be judged. That's what's the important thing, not be judged. I mean, whatever you say or whatever you do or whatever comes out, especially in the improv, I can imagine it's just earth changing, so that's fabulous. That's fabulous.
You're absolutely right about that. At the very start, when I introduced the play shop with my ladies, I laid just a few basic ground rules. And one of them is exactly what you just suggested: no comparative judgment. It's very safe that we are in this nurturing space together where it's supportive, it's not competitive, and no judgment. So you're exactly spot on that.
Well, I'm curious. I ask this in the newsletter that I write to my followers. I wrote and I asked them, what keeps you awake at night? And it was very interesting, the responses that I got. And I'm going to ask you the question, then I'll tell you what the people told me. So what keeps you awake at night?
Yeah, I have a propensity for a very active mind anyway, and I would say on my worst nights, I'm being just my own worst enemy when I'm awake and my mind is just racing, right? And I'm thinking about, the people pleaser in me, is thinking about, okay, what did I do? What are people thinking of me? That need for approval. I've done that for much of my life. I've gotten a lot better about it, but I guess just thinking, overthinking things and just being my own worst enemy on that. So,
well, guess what my response was for my readers. Now, I don't know if this tells you something about my readers or not. What keeps them awake at night and what causes them the most pain and stress is, number one, their husbands, And second of all, they're adult children. And then the other response was both of them together. So I just thought that was very interesting. And that, I mean, they didn't want to, they didn't want to leave their husbands. They didn't want to separate from their husbands, but they just the guys drove them nuts. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I'm sure the adult children coming home to rest is not an easy thing either. However, you have something that might help. You have a drink the wine list. And you need to, I am teased all the time because I don't drink really. And the only wine I can drink is white Zinfandel. Now, Fortune magazine has said that is one step up from Coca-Cola. So you know how strong that white Zin is, but it's the only thing I can take, and I can only take one glass. So what is your drink the wine list?
Sure. Well, I will say I do love my wine. I like my glass of red wine in the evening, but this drink the wine list, it's really about the proverbial bucket list. But how this came about was we lost my brother-in-law very unexpectedly about a year and a half ago. And this was my husband's only sibling. And when Charles passed away, we had to go clean out his condo. And when we were looking around, and Dr. Gail, Charles had all of these wonderful, appliances and furnishings and things that he never even opened. And among those were these really high quality bottles of wine that he would pick up in the Napa Valley, California area when he went down there on business, but he never opened them. And so just quite a stash. I mean, we were the benefit of this, we enjoyed his wine, but my husband and I got to thinking, and we're like, it's time we start drinking the wine. We're not getting any younger, and we're not going to be like Charles. That was the one lesson Charles has taught us, is you need to drink the wine now, not save it for a rainy day, not save it for a special occasion, but pop that cork and drink the wine now. And so now when my husband and I, when we celebrate our wedding anniversary, we get our notebook together and we write down our drink the wine list. What are the things we want to do to have fun together right now? How do we want to live our lives right now? Drink the wine. Every day is a Friday.
That's super. They talk about having date nights, and they talk about, as you mentioned, the bucket list. And I think that is so good because, we're certainly seeing this in the struggles that the people in Houston are going through. We see that it's going to take them a long time to recover. And they say they've lost everything, and you want to enjoy what you can when you can. And it's very interesting to see the things that give people joy. It's not usually huge things. It's the little things that make a difference. And, it's like my husband passed away 9 years ago, and I still have little notes that he left for me. Not anything intelligent. I have one that says, be sure to keep the top of this clean, because I like to clutter, So keep this clean by order of King Norman. I mean, and I have that. And then he left a little note on my car. I love you. WUV, things like that. And that meant more to me than any big gift he could ever have gotten me. So I'm so glad you and your husband are doing that, because it shows an appreciation for each other and for, the time that you have. So I think that's just great. So what little things make you happy?
And it really is about the little things, isn't it? I just sitting out in my back patio, I love the outdoors, and I can just sit out there and just listen to the birds. And we have a little garden fountain, and just sit out there with my glass of wine or my journal book or my magazine and just enjoy the quiet and enjoy nature. I love going for my walks on the beach and doing my yoga class. And I love if I'm really in the flow, if I'm writing a blog post, and I love to write and just take time with hanging out with my husband, petting my cat Mew. I have the sweetest cat in the world. Just those little things.
Well, I have a cat that's my assistant producer. He's right behind me right now, and he's meowed already today. He's a Siamese, so you can't keep him quiet. And he just always seems to be right where the action is, you know? So it's very interesting. Most of my listeners know this cat because he's always got